Hello, my dears. Daniela here, and I am so excited for you to hear the interview that I have for you today. So, Elayne has been a Growth Factor client of ours for the past year or so. And because she's over in Baltimore and I'm in DC, so that's about an hour away for those of you who are not familiar with the area, I was able to have the opportunity to go and receive services from her. And we actually even hosted our Spa CEO intensive in her absolutely gorgeous studio. If you guys saw pictures on our Instagram, we had an event back in June, and it's all wood floors and kind of the exposed ceiling, like that lofty kind of style studio. It's absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, her story is really important to share, and it's a huge success in my opinion, but probably not what you're thinking. So it's a story about finding your alignment and giving yourself permission to shift and change and grow and evolve. I work with a lot of type A's, and we get into this mentality that failure is not an option and we have to finish what we start. But what if starting something new is the next right step? Personally, I think it's courageous to even explore change and give yourself permission. Now, that in no way means just give up and quit when things get hard. Absolutely not. Because if you're in entrepreneurship long enough, things will get hard. But give yourself permission to reflect. Are you still in alignment with what you set out to accomplish? That's the story that we're going to share today with my friend Elayne. Let me do a quick read of her bio, and then we will play that interview. So Elayne Mendoza is the I always mess it up when I read. Let me start this part over. Elayne Mendoza is the founder of a Latina-owned beauty business named Moonlyte Studio. Elayne's primary focus is to intentionally provide an individualized experience with each treatment, such as facials and waxing. She brings balance to her guests' mind, body, spirit, and skin by tuning in and realigning the energetic fields of the face and body. In addition to her beauty services, she facilitates breathwork and meditation ceremonies to create a safe space to ignite healing for the collective community. All right, I hope that you enjoy this interview. I hope it gives you some inspiration, and I hope it inspires you to reflect. All right, let's go ahead and play that interview. All right, Elayne, welcome to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. You are the second person to ever record in my little office, and we've got our chairs very nice and snug to make it work.
Thank you so much. Your space is so beautiful, and just to be welcomed here feels divine.
Good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. So your journey, what I want to share with our listeners is that it's a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful, you've been in Growth Factor. We've gotten to know one another. It's not the story that everybody is going to think that this is going to be some great, $50,000 event or something like that. But I feel that your story is equally as valuable and really inspirational. So where do you feel called to start? What feels good to you in your journey?
My journey, what feels good is starting with how I even birthed Moonlyte Studio, my business, because I think that plays such a huge role into how I make decisions and how I even got to the space that I am right now. Mm-hmm. So in 2019, I went through what's considered like the dark night of the soul.
Your Saturn return.
It was bizarre, but in such a beautiful way. And I believe we've talked about this briefly, but I really love to go a little bit deeper with it because it serves a purpose. And so in July of 2019, I had a partner who transitioned. He passed away. And through that moment, it was as if a part of me died, and then simultaneously a new version of me birthed and came to life. And so he always told me when we were together that he would invest in my business and in the physical.
Was it sudden, or was it you don't have to get into all the details, but was it sudden, or were you prepared for an illness or something like that?
No, it was a sudden loss.
Sudden.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so prior to that, he would tell me that he would always invest in my business. And I'm like, that sounds amazing, you know? I didn't know in what way, but as a partner, that feels so nourishing to know that someone supports you. And so soon after he passed in July. And so by the time January came,
Sorry, if you guys are hearing this craziness in the background, it's my printer and I don't know how to fix it. So please excuse the background noise. Real moments on the Spread Marketing Easy podcast.
So in January, Moonlyte Studio came to life. And between
2020, January 2020. Oh, yeah. So right
after, it was so quick, and I was receiving insight pretty quickly too. And so in order for me to really get to that space of opening a business, I had to be open to receiving information in a way that's not physical through conversations, you know? And so Moonlyte Studio came, and I was working in a very small hair salon. The room was extremely tiny. All I could fit in there was a bed, a dresser, and a sink.
Oh, wow. And so that's why now you have like the most spacious place.
Yeah, exactly. And so through working there for a year, I started again to receive insight. And may I add, not to get super dark, but death for some reason plays a really huge role in my transformation. And so my partner passed away in July, and then my grandfather passed away in October. And so I was extremely raw, but in such a beautiful way in hindsight. And so then a year goes by of me being in the small salon, and it's March of 2021. And I entered this business program to really learn how to make a lot of money in your business. And one thing that she told me was, you need to have a team. And I was like, okay, I never felt good about managing other people or like growing anything bigger than myself, because I've always had experiences previously where I wasn't supported. I was micromanaged in the salons. And so then that month of March 2021, my grandmother passed away. And so I was in these deep imaginings, meditations of like, if I could have a space, what would that look like? And so Moonlyte Studio, the location now, was exactly of what I was envisioning.
It's such a beautiful space too. So if you guys saw any of our Instagram when we had our event, we actually rented Elayne's spa because I was like, wow, can we fit 40 people in here? Because this is gorgeous.
We made it happen. And so I actually found it on Craigslist one night at like midnight, and
it's always the best things. It's like midnight musings. I found this house in the middle of the night.
Really?
Yeah, I was nursing Luca, and I was like, I got to get out of this house because Luca was born in April 2020. And so we were all crammed in, all on lockdown, you know, a 3-year-old, a newborn, 2 people working from home, an au pair. I mean, we were very blessed, obviously, to have our au pair for childcare and stuff, but we were just falling all over each other.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I got to move. I gotta get out of here. I need a new house. And it was probably like 3 a.m.
Yeah. I think there's some magic to that time, like 3 to 5 a.m. is like the divine hour. So if anyone's listening, stay up at night and really just listen to what comes up. But yeah, I was searching through Craigslist and I saw the listing and I was like, oh, I need to go see that. And so I went to go see it. My grandmother knew that I was like looking for a new place to transition to. And then when she passed away, I was like, I cannot make a decision right now. Like, I'm too vulnerable, too raw to make a decision that is based in logic. And so I let the landlords know of what happened. And so they were so kind and giving me time and space to sit and grieve. And then they eventually reached out to me again, like, hey, we're getting calls. I understand that you're going through this, but we really would like to know what your decision is. And I followed my intuition and I said yes. Like, I knew that.
So that was March 2021?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I knew that my grandmother would want me to do all that I needed to do in order to make my dreams more so my reality. And so I believe with my intuition and the guidance of my past loved ones that I was able to make the decision to enter that space. And so now I'm on year 3.
When did you join Growth Factor?
Last year.
Last year.
This time last year, actually.
Okay. So we're coming up on your 1-year anniversary.
Yes. So I've been in the program with you for a year now. And it's just been so beautiful to be a part of this journey with you. And yeah, that's how I got to where I am right now.
So, all right. So when you went into the program, what was your focus? What was your intention?
To become the CEO.
To be the CEO.
Yeah, to build a team. And for Moonlyte Studio to operate without me being inside of it physically.
And today, as we're speaking, where have I guided you? What are you doing?
I am going through a huge transition in my career, but also my personal life as well. And I truly believe that business is a reflection of self. Mm-hmm. And I've always led with that ever since day one of what within me needs to be seen so that I can be the best version of me as a leader. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm really transitioning into leading spaces and using my voice through meditations, ceremonies. I love to dive into retreats even. Mm-hmm. And I had the experience of leading the women's circle for the event that was hosted at the studio. And that really just sparked a lot of fire within.
Let's tell that story. So, it came up, it actually came up on a coaching call that like, hey, what are other things that I can do to be generating revenue? Yes. And I said, something was like, why don't you rent your space? You have this beautiful space. Mm-hmm. I'll rent your space.
Yeah.
And that kind of started it. And so you and I became like in more close contact in prepping for the event. Mm-hmm. Women's Circle is, if you guys don't know what a women's circle is, Google it. But they've been going on, since the beginning of time. And they're just these very sacred, connective moments. We had one gal who was like, I thought we were going to be stretching and doing some yoga. And I was like, yes. That's great.
Opposite.
But she loved it. She loved it. And it was, so, just if you go to one, make sure that you're open. But it's all about connection and just deep connection.
Yeah.
And we like to do those before our events because I do believe that your personal development is directly affected with your business. So everybody has trauma in their life. You dealt with death at a young age, as did I. But big trauma, small trauma, it's all trauma. We've all dealt with different things that can affect the way that we make decisions, that can affect, our trigger points, which pours into business.
Yeah.
And so we have to do our own work on ourselves to be able to release those so that we can lead and that we can make better decisions for how we want to show up in our company, for our team, et cetera. So we always start with Women's Circle. And then we go into, the Spacio intensive is what we call it. And the gal that we originally had to host Circle couldn't do it. And then she said, oh, I have somebody for you. And I said, okay, yeah, send her to me. And I was telling you this, and I didn't want to ask you because you're also a student. So I was like, I don't want to make you work when you're supposed to be like having this experience. Mm-hmm. And then you offered.
Yeah.
So were you thinking about it? And obviously I paid you. Don't worry. I'm not like.
Yeah, that was actually I'm so glad that you brought that up through the conversation. And as soon as you said that, there was a little voice in me that was like, opportunity, take it. And I was like, okay, Daniela, actually, what if I just led the circle? I mean, I started hosting meditations and circles the year, what are we in?
23.
23 in 2020 of September, I started leading these things. And so I really took it as an opportunity to put myself in that
You
space.
asked, how many times did I say you need to ask for what you want?
I learned that from you.
Because the membership thing.
Yes. I remember you telling me that if I would have asked you to be a part of my membership, you would have said yes. And
But you
from
didn't
that,
ask.
I didn't ask. And from that moment, I started asking for what I wanted. And it's coming to me. And it's such a beautiful way to really be in the front seat, the driver of your life, because oftentimes I feel like there's so much happening in our day-to-day life, business, we know how that goes. There's always that never-ending to-do list. You feel pulled in many different directions, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
When you really take control of your life within reason, things start to fall into place. And it's all you had to do was tell me that. And I took it and I was like, okay. I even took that with me that week and I started going to places and asking people for things that I knew I needed support on. And it's not this like egoic, like taking from others, right? It's like, what is it that I need? And it's not the how, it's the who.
Mm-hmm.
And you also taught me that as well.
That was Jason. We have to give Jason credit for that because so my friend Jason Goldberg, I had like a phone a friend moment. If you guys haven't listened to that episode, that's a great one. But I called Jason when I was going through a little personal crisis. And I said, I need to phone a friend. I need somebody to kind of talk me off the ledge. And, we have a lot of exciting things coming up in our company, which I'll tell you guys about all very soon. But I was talking to Jason to say, I don't know how I'm going to do all of this. And he said, the how is in the who.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me was like this light bulb crazy moment that was like, oh, I got this. I totally got this. It's totally fine. But I think for leaders, for spa CEOs, for entrepreneurs, whatever it is that you're doing, understanding that, I mean, the longer I'm in my company, the less I do. It's what I'm doing is building relationships. What I'm doing is leading through example, and kind of guiding my team and pouring into them to make them better than me.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of letting go of the ego. We see that a lot when an esthetician wants to get out of the room and she wants to get out of the room, but it feels so good when your clients only want to see you, you know?
I was going through that. And I'm sure I will continue to kind of peel that layer back on wanting to be everything for everyone. And I've learned through the past few years that that's very draining and that's not authentic because you ultimately cannot be everything for everyone. It's just not physically possible.
No. And it's, it takes a while to learn that. I mean, I'm 42 as we're recording this, and I still, every year gets better and better for sure. Like I love the 40s. I feel the best that I've ever felt in my 40s. But I think so much of that has to do with that radical honesty and what you were saying, acceptance. It's all the same, just accepting who you are, accepting how you operate, accepting that you don't have to be the best, that you don't have to have every answer, that it's okay if you change your mind and want to, shift and move more into coaching or leading circles or leading retreats or being an employee, from an entrepreneur, which there's a lot of people out there that started businesses or went as a solo and they really shouldn't be entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They, Marshall from Mango Mint, the episode that we did with her, she's like, I sold my salon. Now I'm an employee. I would never go back to being, she's like, I love being an employee.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with being an employee.
We actually quite need them.
Yes.
That's how
Yes, we do
our
quite
world
need them.
continues to operate. I mean, I love going to my local coffee shop, and without the employees there, where would I get my delicious latte?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different pieces. So,
Yeah.
but I think that it's almost like there's this belief that when you start something, you've got to finish it.
Yes.
Which is a lot with integrity and doing what you say you're going to do, but also have the courage to change your mind.
Yes.
If you are not on the right path,
I really feel like this, your program sets spa owners up to become that CEO. You give us all of the resources, all of the tools and also the community, like that level of support that you need to get to where you want to go. And I think that it was also heartbreaking, but also so nourishing to know that it's okay to transition, because I think I was definitely fighting the current. Tell
them about your hot seat.
Well, first of all, very spicy. I was sweating.
Well, we do that. We make people sweat.
So I remember you asking who wanted the hot seat, and my hand immediately went up because I'm like, I need clarity. I don't know what's going on, but I really would love high level support right now. So obviously get into the hot seat. And my question really was, I want to receive clarity on what my next step is, because I came into into business with this idea and vision of, I'm going to be the spa CEO, I'm going to grow the team, and I'm going to step out and everything's going to run smooth. And nothing is landing. Like, it's just, I've tried hiring, I've tried the interview process, and I'm just not getting what it was that I thought I needed. And I had to have a radical honesty moment, and you helped me with this, is, do I really want to be a spa CEO? And in that moment, like, intuition, to me, it was, no, actually, I don't. I thought I did.
I was like, welcome to Growth Factor, where we're all going to be spa CEOs. Elayne, I think you should, switch lanes.
Yeah. And I'm like crying so many tears. And what I think was so powerful about this hot seat was, not only was it you, it was all of the other spa CEOs standing in front of me. And those women who were a part of the women's circle all agreed. Like, no, honey. Yeah, it's time. Yeah. And, even those who didn't join the circle, I had women come up to me and say, just hearing you speak and your essence.
Because you led the meditation in the morning as well.
Yeah.
I just told you in there.
Yeah. I don't know if I told you, but I was like, when you mentioned like 3 times, you were like, and then I'm going to hand it over to Elayne. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is she handing over to me? I'm so confused right now. I could puke, but I obviously have to keep it together. And you handed it over to me, and you told me, I feel like you have this way of like giving a look. And when you give a look, it's like, okay, that's what she's talking about.
I don't know what that is, but I'm glad it worked. It worked great.
Yeah. So now I feel like ever since that event and being in community with those CEOs who also understand the ins and outs, the day-to-day, who all of you gave me the permission slip. And I really feel like the universe put all of you in front of me to offer that to me, so that it could be no other way. And now I feel more free than I've ever felt in the past.
I love that.
Years.
I love that. And that's really why I wanted to share your story, because of course it's inspirational to, launch a membership and get 100 members, or to host a 5 or 6 figure event, or to, whatever this great kind of success story is, but understanding your happiness
Yes.
is, that's the greatest success story.
Yeah.
And giving yourself permission to do what truly makes you happy. There's not a better case study, I think, than we could ever have, is just helping people, helping our clients achieve whatever their true path is. And sometimes that means you should be an employee, or you should shift industries, or you should, I think you should do this. But ultimately, I don't know, that's something I'm really proud of.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of me too. And I'm proud of putting myself in situations and programs, even like Growth Factor, that was very confronting for me. Like I had the tantrums, the moments of like, what the hell am I doing? But it was all for a greater good. And I think that without entering Growth Factor, I wouldn't have gotten to the space that I am now, maybe eventually. But I think that everything is divinely orchestrated. Everything happens for a specific reason. And I believe that we connected for this very great reason and for whatever else is also to come. And I think it's really important for people to stay true to themselves, like authentically, like who are you? Because if you don't know who you are, your day-to-day life is going to feel like such a struggle, and you're never going to reach this level of, this is enough for me. And the universe is not going to give you more if you cannot appreciate what it is that you have right now. And so in this moment, I feel that this is enough for me. I feel good, and I'm open to whatever is next for me. And I'm so grateful that I have you, all of the members. Like, this goes beyond once I leave the program. Like, I've already told people I'd love to stay in connection with you.
Yeah.
And that is just medicine.
And you
within
will.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are going to provide some links under this show for anybody that, if you're leading circles, if you're leading retreats, if you need any type of guided meditation, we're going to launch Elayne's business. We will be hiring her for our future events. So really excited about that. But if you want to connect with her, you need anybody, make sure that you click the links below. Elayne, anything else you want to add to make this episode complete?
Continue to follow your heart. Listen to that small voice inside of you that is directing you, and lead with love.
Lead with love. I love that. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode. The second episode ever recorded with a guest in my office, snuggled together. You can see how close our chairs are. All right. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next episode.